Welcome to Jim Miller. Give it up.
I'm going to do it a little bit different than usual. I got some notes, got some bases I want to touch, and I want to have time to touch them. I watched my wife suffer like few people get to see somebody suffer, but I also watched her be well with something that's so simple, and you all know what I'm talking about. 1991, when Cheryl couldn't move her arms or her legs, only her head, when she was down to 86 pounds, when a neurologist said, I don't think she's going to make it back in 6 months, you got to do something. I looked it up. Now, she'd never been a social marijuana user, and I have since 1970. A lot of people find that strange, but we got married. Well, more for me, and that's okay. But she didn't mind that. When I found out it was good for her in 1991, that was more for her and not so much for me. Cheryl didn't take things lying down even though she couldn't move. And I'd like her to be an inspiration to you. If you could understand what she did, she knew it was too late for her. It would not happen in her lifetime. But she did it anyway. She didn't do it just for sick people. She did it for everybody. She recognized prohibition to be what it is, against all people that want to use a plant in any way that they see fit. Cheryl went and ate marijuana in a congressman's office in 1998 in front of the world press and 30 Capitol Police. They had to arrest a woman that couldn't move anything but her head. They couldn't fingerprint her because her fingers were gnarled. They didn't know how to transport her. That was March 30th, 1998. They scheduled her arraignment for April 20th. They scheduled her arraignment for 4/20, and I knew we were in. We got back there, they refused. They refused to charge her. We refused to leave. Said, no, you brought her down there. You could have told her to stay home. What kind of game is this? Does she look well to you? Maybe we're not going to leave until you do charge us. When the magistrate looked at us and said very quietly to Cheryl, if you don't leave, I'm going to have you placed under arrest for contempt of court. She didn't get to speak up often. She looked right in that judge's eyes and said, but you won't charge me, will you? You can't arrest me, then how about protecting me? We fought until the day she died. I mean literally, when she went to the hospital and we knew it was her time to die, she wore a shirt in the hospital that said, I am a medical marijuana user. She wore that on the day she died. I'd like her to be an inspiration to you. I made her a promise that day. I promised her that I would go on. I told her I couldn't, and she said you have to, and she explained why, and yeah, once again, she was right. So I come here today partially keeping that promise, but a much simpler reason. I came here because Rob asked me to. That's all it should take. Rob asks you to do something, you know it's important, you do it, it gets done. He's doing the work, he's doing the thinking, he's got apparently a lot of good people helping him. Good for you. We got a permit. He knows the playing field isn't level. You know the playing field isn't level, but we know where to play. Rob knows where to play. I've always said that if I had to do one thing for medical marijuana and I could have one person to help me, it would be a choice between two people I know. You might not know my friend Gary Stork in Madison, but you know Rob Robinson. I'd want him watching my back. And I'll tell you one thing, if you don't know what to do, you know where he is, you ask him, he'll tell you. It's time to do something. Back to my notes. Yeah, you know, this is a war. That's right, but it's being fought on many fronts. It's a war with the greatest, most powerful nation in the world at war with a plant. It's a war that's being fought against hemp. Can't use it for food, fuel, or fiber, or anything else you can use hemp for. Can't use it for social reasons. You can't use it as medicine. But it all comes under the cloak of prohibition. Prohibition is what goes against the laws of nature. We have laws of nature, we have laws of man. The reason we have laws of man or when the laws of nature aren't sufficient. Law of nature is, if you sit on a tack, you will bleed from the ass. It doesn't mean you need a law to keep tacks off seats. You look for it, you sit down. What happens, though, is we now have a law of nature that you've heard about, you already know about. Marijuana can help birth. It can help them be well. It can help them get off other drugs. I proudly wear my anti-drug shirt whenever I can. Just laws of nature got to start being obeyed. Now, Rob has a freedom festival. It's a hemp festival. To me, it's a freedom festival. It's where I know what freedom feels like. For 4 days, I go to New York, and I feel free. And then I come out, and I feel like I'm not so free, but I want to be, and I want to be free now. I want to be free to sit on my front porch with a big, fat joint in my mouth, waving at the neighbor, walking the dog, saying, "Look what I got, would you like some?" And one day when it's all legal, you're all invited to my front porch and we'll smoke one up.